You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Daniel's sad. He said even though the Beavers won their football game and the Seahawks won today against the Cardinals to get even, and like, are they tied for the division lead right
Probably. I don't know. What's going on?
What is going on?
What is going on?
What's going on?
But 18
He's also
innings.
winning his fantasy game today.
Am I? Oh, because I'm playing you,
Destroying
right?
me.
Oh,
I think I've got like
Daniel
80 points.
Daniel just always wins.
I've got like 3
fantasy now,
starters
so-
out.
Oh, dude. Your team's real bad.
Yeah, well, it's missing 3 starters, and I picked up
That's
one of
it?
my. I picked up one of my starting players today, literally yesterday.
I made an excellent last-second decision to play Kenneth Walker III instead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire because Helaire had 3.3 points and Walker had many points.
I guess that means that I made a bad last-minute decision in my other league because I started Edwards-Helaire at the last second.
Tough move there. Let's see. I'm playing Joe in the other league. How am I doing in that one? Ooh, not good.
I'm sorry, I'm responsible for this.
Yeah, I'm not doing
Let's
good
get
in
it
the other
going with
one.
the 2-minute drill.
Let's go, huddle up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball to ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1 3.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
The Scrimmage is brought to you by Oly Pen Real
you
Estate
go.
and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz.
I'm Daniel. He's Justin. That's
Andrew Pax is here too. The Seattle Mariners recorded roughly 1 hit per hour in their season-ending
Whoa.
18-inning loss to the Houston Astros on Saturday. Daniel, is a 6-hour game in which only 1 run is scored fun to watch?
Oh, I'm not sure fun is the word for it. It's exciting, exhilarating,
Interesting?
interesting, anxiety
Inducing?
inducing. I can only imagine what the fans there were feeling because every pitch, you're like, your stomach's tightening. You know, every pitch, you're like, eh. And then when the Mariners are on offense, you're like, huh? And then just filled with disappointment. Mariners manager Scott Service pinch ran Dylan Moore for Eugenio Suarez in the bottom of the 9th inning in a 0-0 tie. Justin, considering the game went on 9 more innings, was this the right call?
We're playing the result here.
Yeah.
But no, it was not the right call. That just means you played a whole nother ball game in which all you needed was 1 clutch hit and you took out one of the 2 or 3 guys on your roster who would be best at getting you 1 clutch hit. I kept getting to the point, this was a theme with my wife and I was like, hey, guess what just happened? 3 guys got out? Yeah, 3 guys got out. Hey, guess what just happened? 3 guys got out? Yeah, 3 guys got out. So you're watching every batter like, is it going to end with this swing? And then, oh yeah, we get to the top of the lineup. Oh crap, it's Dylan Moore.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Presumptive Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez batted .217 and posted a .357 on-base percentage with 3 doubles, a triple, 2 RBI in his first 5 playoff games. Daniel, how would you assess Julio's inaugural playoff performance?
Pretty darn good. And his career playoff performance is like 1,000,000 times better than Mike Trout. Also, for those of you naysayers, Jared Kelenic also has more postseason hits than Mike Trout does.
Whoa.
Yeah. Career. Wow. Justin, now that the Mariners season officially is over, what should the team focus on to continue building this roster?
Hitting, because I don't ever want to watch an 18-inning game with 0 runs and a record-breaking amount of strikeouts again.
Yeah. From both teams. They combined for that.
And don't pitch run Dylan Moore for Eugenio Suarez.
You know, usually
hitting.
I love that decision.
Well, yeah, because it's usually at the end of the game.
Playing the result here, guys.
Sorry. I got lost. I don't even know where it is now. There we go.
That hurt my throat somehow.
You ever watching something and it glitches and it keeps the sound along with it? So it's just like, and one day I was walking down this drain. That's what that game was for 9 innings.
Yeah.
It was just like, actually for 17 innings.
And somehow, I swear every single inning Alvarez was up. They weren't getting anybody on base. They were going 3 up, 3 down, and every single inning Alvarez was up.
That's weird.
It was
a
suspicious.
statistical anomaly.
It was suspicious.
Well, if anybody was going to
They
cheat that
might
way,
have
it'd
been
be the
cheating.
Astros. Yeah.
Oh, that's
That was
too
an
funny.
all Mariners edition
It
of
was.
the 2-minute drill because I thought the most appropriate way to commemorate the season
Yep.
would be just to focus that whole segment on them.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I can't take credit for this, but somebody tweeted out that what needs to happen now is for a VHS tape of this season recap needs to be sold at a hardware store near you.
Like a locally owned hardware store.
Yeah, like My Oh My was in 95, and what did they call it? Sweet 116
Love These Guys?
or was it You Gotta Love These
I'm
Guys?
not sure,
I can't
but
remember.
that was one of them.
Yeah. Anyway,
Seems appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. I know that in those ones, they made it farther than this year, even though with the 116 wins, they still didn't make it past the ALCS.
Stupid Yankees.
They at least
hate
made
them
it to the
almost
ALCS.
as much as the Astros.
Now, there's a
Yeah.
discussion.
Well,
Which
I
team
think
should we
that
hate
is-
more?
It is true. I think I used to hate the Yankees more, and now I hate the Astros more.
I'm
But
thinking-
that's a recent development for me.
It is. I
Yeah.
think I'm getting there too, and it is recent, and it's not like. I think it has a big part of it has to do is that they're in the division now too. Like if the Astros were the same team, the same cheaters, the same everything, but in a different division, I think I would still hate the Yankees more.
I agree with you.
But they're our rival now.
Yeah. It's I feel
And
like
they have that stupid stadium where stupid pop outs are home runs and that stupid Crawford box.
If I heard the Crawford box mentioned one more time, I was going to throw whatever I was a headphone, I guess.
Right?
Whatever I was listening to the game on at the
And
moment.
it sucks that JP Crawford is left-handed because all I want is for him to hit dingers there and for them to go, JP hitting it into his own boxes.
Crawford to the Crawford box.
But no.
Dang it, JP. There's a real missed opportunity there.
Yeah, I know.
I think, though,
You know they're practicing that call though.
Oh, yeah. They got it. Goldsmith's got that one in the vault for sure. Goldie's ready.
I think this series was really Seattle-esque because you're pretty much playing with house money here, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you could lose the series and
Yeah.
it wouldn't really hurt you because not only did you make the playoffs for the first time in 21 years, you made the real playoffs.
Yeah.
You got past the wild card round. So
And
trolls
you-
like me can't say you didn't make the real playoffs, although trolls are now saying that the Mariners still haven't won a playoff game in the United States of America since 2001. But the,
Hey,
but
that
the thing
gives-
is,
that gives
you
more
you can-
goals for next year.
There you go. You can lose the series and it's okay.
Yeah.
But the way they lost those games really made it hurt in a way that it didn't have to.
Right? Like if they would have gone out and lost 5-2 in the first game in just like a normal game, it would have been like, oh, that's
Verlander.
Dang
what are
it.
you gonna do?
Dang, we scored 2 runs
Yeah.
on Verlander.
Yeah.
But instead, they had to.
Robbie Ray.
Ugh.
And the other thing that stinks is since I already harped on Scott Service for the Dylan Moore thing, which who knows, I don't know, maybe it was a good call. And I am playing the result. But
if
now
it's
we
the
have a
end of the
managerial
game,
decision in every game that was pivotal and
Yeah.
made a difference. So it kind of sucks because then I think that's going to end up being a big part of the conversation this week.
Wait, in every game you thought there was a managerial?
I mean, anytime you lose a close game, especially a game that you had
I'm just
the
trying to
lead
think.
in,
I'm just trying to think
there's
of
usually going to be a
what was game
managerial
2.
decision.
Game 1 and game 3 were so scarring that
Well,
I
we
forget
didn't get
game
to see
2.
Swanson in game 2.
I think I'd have to think back on it, because
happened in
I'm
game
forgetting like you're forgetting. I remember the commentators mentioning it like, was it they thought he left Castillo in one batter too long and somebody got a hit, so then if
They lost 4-2.
But then it ended up not mattering, I think, maybe is what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm remembering a conversation that the commentators were having about how something could have
Well,
gone
the
very
decision
poorly.
to ever pitch to Alvarez.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big one.
I mean, that's one that gets second guessed if he makes a hit. Automatically, it was the wrong decision to pitch to him.
yeah.
And
I mean,
I'm
that-
fully
and that-
guilty of that.
And
but
and the hard
I
part with
understand
the
that
the one in game 2, the home run in game 2 by Alvarez, I can't even say they're pitching to him because that ball was
Yeah.
like a
Oh,
foot
no.
outside. Like,
not a foot.
but
3 inches.
He was exaggerating for dramatic effect.
it was
support-
outside.
I
I wanted
support
to
it.
correct you. And
I think
to
it
be
was
like
2 feet
something
outside.
ridiculously outside still.
Didn't you send me a stat that was the farthest ball outside he's ever hit out? Something like
or
that.
anyone's ever hit
Yeah,
out
I don't know.
in the playoffs
In
or
the
something like that.
StatCast or
It was
whatever.
ridiculous.
Anyway.
Yeah, StatCast era, all those like that's the highest exit velocity or furthest outside pitch or something. That's all since 2008. So
Which
that
is
was
still
that was when they
14
started
years, but not
Wow.
104 whatever.
Are we old?
Yes.
Yeah, we're old.
Oh.
Super old.
Yeah, don't get me started. Yeah, super old. I'm more bummed too because I guess I knew that it was an outside chance going in, so I didn't get my hopes up too high. But we had tickets to an ALCS game. And I told myself that if the Mariners ever get to the playoffs, I would find a way to get there. But life's different now than when I was 20 years old and
When you told yourself that?
didn't have kids and wasn't married. Now there's like budgets and stuff like that. I'm not living with my parents anymore.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. I'm old now. I
You
gotta
do
think
have a
about
son that's
responsible
living
things.
with his parents, though.
Yeah, he should have been able to figure something.
I know. Gosh.
It's not like he has to pay rent.
Get there. Jeez, get it done.
So then that does shift the focus about what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
It feels obvious because they invested so much in getting the pitching rotation set with Ray and Castillo, and then you'll have Gilbert and Kirby. Maybe you bring somebody in to be a fifth starter. I'm not sure, but the priority has to be figuring out what positions you can upgrade bats.
Yes. I mean, that's got to be the priority, right? But does this playoff run also leave you question marks about Robbie Ray? Like, I know
There's
Question
nothing we can do
but-
about that,
But
though,
Daniel,
right?
he can be the fourth best pitcher.
he could, well, I'd want him to be at this point. I'd want him to be the fifth best pitcher. That's another.
Maybe,
That's another.
Maybe, but
I
that's an
wouldn't-
overreaction.
And here's another thing. I don't think this isn't a managerial decision. I think this is a management team decision. But go look at Chris Flexen's numbers against the Astros this year.
yeah, and he wasn't even with
He
the team.
was- exactly,
Well, they
he
had
was
three
not-
catchers.
3 catchers.
Admittedly, Cal Raleigh had a broken thumb.
Yeah, but you carry 1 backup catcher.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need 3 catchers? And Cal Raleigh never came out of the game.
Well, no, because he's
Even
a stud.
exactly, but even in a situation where a pinch runner for him would have made sense, they didn't pinch run for him at the end of the game in Toronto.
That's true. Do they have a backup catcher that is faster than him?
No, but you don't pinch run him with the catcher. You
Oh, I
pinch
got you.
run
You pinch
somebody
run-
and then you put the
pinch
catcher
run
I got you.
Trammell,
Okay.
and then put the catcher in.
and then put
I
the
see.
catcher.
I
Yeah.
understand. I was like,
So if they are that leery of ever taking him out, why do you have 3 catchers if in an 18-inning game you never take him out?
to be fair, that was the like last game.
I know. I'm just
So,
saying. But even
I wonder
late-
if we would have seen him play game 4.
yeah.
I don't know, but I have
All
to
I'm
think
saying
maybe
is,
not.
do you need 3? And to not have Flexen, who shoved against the Astros
I
every
agree
time he
with you
pitched
there.
against him.
I agree with you there completely.
I don't like it. But
I also
I don't know.
so
I mean,
one of
that's
the
one
thing-
thing.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
one thing. That's a small thing, right?
Oh no,
But-
it's all small things because that was a successful season.
Yeah, exactly.
They played really hard.
They overachieved.
Mm-hmm.
They played better than they were predicted to.
They did
Yeah.
their best. They left it all out on the field.
Okay. Sean is gonna punch you in the face.
Is our show gonna get? Sean's gonna try to delete our show.
Yeah.
We have a buddy who said that is, and you know
He's a
what?
friend
I
of the
agree
show.
with
He's
him.
been on the show before.
That's
Yeah.
true. I agree with him. It's completely unacceptable when your team gets knocked out of the playoffs and somebody makes a post about it to go on and say, "Well, they did their best."
Well, yeah, because that's the to me, that's the expectation.
Well, obviously.
Like,
too.
yeah.
I also don't like, and maybe I could be alone on this. I don't like in the immediate aftermath. Well, it was a good season. Like,
Yeah.
let me sit in it for a little while.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then we'll get there.
Hey, people, especially Americans, grieving is okay. It is okay to grieve things and process it. That is an okay thing with hard situations, including a season that doesn't finish how you want it to. I remember when somebody said, "It's okay, we'll be back next year," when the Seahawks threw an interception on the 2-yard line.
You still had your head in your hands when that comment came out.
Yeah.
That happened.
I was on the ground. What are you talking about? Remember, I was like crumpled up on the ground in a fetal position at your
Right.
dad's house.
Yes.
Just
I recall.
what is going on?
And then to be fair to that person, it did take you like an hour to move. So if they had to wait that long, that would have been a lot.
I say they shouldn't have said it.
That's the thing you say. That's the
Agreed.
thing you say a few days later.
Exactly. Especially with that situation.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. You wait a couple days. You don't try and make me feel better immediately. You just say, "Yep, that sucks."
Yeah. Yeah.
Have a nacho. That would have been nice. I would have accepted. I might not have accepted. I should have accepted nachos.
You should have, but you
So-
wouldn't have
Yeah.
in that moment.
I know. You're right. Maybe I've grown now. Maybe if something happens like that now, I'll accept nachos.
Probably true.
Yeah.
This season does feel a lot, and this is not. This isn't an original thought that I had.
Okay.
I just agree with it, and a lot of people are thinking it. I think this season does feel a lot like the 2012 Seahawks season, where it was.
I like that.
That was a crushing loss as a game
In
Like,
Atlanta.
You had it.
Yeah,
and
that
you lost
sucked.
it, and it sucked so bad.
Yep.
But
Was that
it
on my
did
birthday?
Not,
That was my
didn't
surprise
take
party
long.
birthday.
It did not take long for the fans and I think the players too to start thinking we're all coming back next. This team is going to be so good.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's kind of the feeling I have right now about the Mariners, where it's like that last series went about as difficult and painful as possible.
Yep.
And yet, in the midst of all of that feeling, I'm going, how could they can't get worse, can they?
I mean,
they
they're
have
gonna
to get better.
They're still
Like,
going
all
to
of
be good,
these
but they
guys
still
are gonna
need
be better.
They still need to add offense.
Yes.
They can't
But
just
also-
they can't just
in the-
stand pat and go into next
Yes,
season with the same
absolutely.
roster.
But on top of that, in the past, it would have been like, oh, they need to add a bat, and they're not gonna.
Yeah.
And now they already spent on pitching,
Yeah.
like absolute top end pitching.
Yep. Twice.
Even if Robbie Ray was a strikeout, and he's our fifth best rotation.
Yeah.
We have the young guns that are. Kirby was incredible.
Yep.
So
Gilbert's really good. Hancock was supposed to be better than Kirby coming up through, so you don't
And
give
we
up on
haven't
him.
seen him yet, yeah.
Chris Flexen is still a guy you have in your arsenal who was...
Boyd is a starter,
Marco Gonzalez might not be here next year.
What about Brash?
which is too bad.
Brad
You
Brash-
As a
project him
bullpen arm for the rest of his career?
He
or-
might be just because he's so good at it. But
next Mariano Rivera.
it could
He's
be.
overrated.
Yeah, that'd be a loser.
I mean-
that's saying he's going to be a loser. I don't know.
I mean, I never said that Mariano was not the best at his position.
Yes,
Right.
yes, you're right.
I'm just saying that he was a failed starter.
Yeah. And are we there yet with Matt Brash?
Yeah.
Is
I
he
mean,
a
or do we-
failed starter yet?
No, because Mariano failed for like 3 years as a starter.
And
Matt Brash got like 3 or 4 starts.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you're saying though, Daniel. He's been so good in relief,
Yeah.
that it makes me wonder if they'll even bother trying. Like,
Especially because they have so many other good starters.
yeah,
It's
Maybe
an
move Robbie Ray to the bullpen.
Eh,
He can come in the ninth inning when you need one out.
stop.
so-
Stop. Why?
I don't know.
traditionally a 2-pitch pitcher would be more more better in the bullpen than a multiple
Not
pitch pitcher, right?
It's not that a 2-pitch pitcher is better in the bullpen. It's just generally you need more than 2 pitches to be a starter.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And credit to Robbie, he's now a 3-pitch pitcher.
I think he's got more than that. But
Fair.
Whatever pitch he needed, he didn't have to pitch to Alvarez. And I think, you know what, the biggest problem I see with that whole decision wasn't necessarily thinking that Robbie Ray was your best option to get Alvarez out. The worst part about that decision was trying to get Alvarez out.
I agree with that.
Right? Like, that was the bad part about that decision was, let's try and get this guy out. It's like, no. You're up by 2 runs. 2 runs. Not 3, not 4. 5 is not the number you are supposed to count to. That is right out.
What is this voice you went
Sorry.
to?
I realized that I was doing a weird counting voice, and I slipped into Monty Python.
Okay,
Monty Python.
Gotcha.
3 must be the number you are counting to.
Okay.
Not 1, not 2,
Not
not
3,
4,
not
and
4.
5 is right out.
You got the LeBron thing going on.
Exactly.
Not 5.
But walk him, and then put in your best guy you have left to go after Bregman. And
Bregman's
guess
good,
what?
though.
And then guess what? Pitch around him.
Yeah.
Because you're up by 2.
So you can walk Bregman.
You can
also.
walk him. You can walk him and still be okay. So you
I
pitch
texted-
around him and then go after the next guy.
I might have angrily texted that at the Mike Salk show
Yeah.
or the Brock and Salk show the other day when they were like, but if you walk him, look, you've got Bregman up. And I was like,
Walk him
walk
too.
a run in.
Exactly.
Walk 2 guys.
Exactly. It would have
It's
been
an
okay.
overreaction.
Are we playing the result again?
Yes, absolutely in this case.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so. But Alvarez is so good.
If you just said the sentence, we brought in last year's Cy Young Award winner in the 9th inning to get 1 out in a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Like, take out all the other factors.
Well, you also left out, you brought up Cy Young Award winner.
yeah.
What about MVP to face the MVP runner-up this year? You got to add that side into
But
it.
it's
He's
just
not
to
just
get one out, though.
he's not just a left-handed hitter.
Is he a
He's
Cy Young runner-up this year?
No.
Oh, that's another good point.
Well, no,
I get what
was
you're saying.
No, like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But that wasn't the year he had this year. If he was,
I shouldn't be defending that decision. It was horrible in every conceivable way.
it's a good conversation though because it is defensible. I disagree with it, and I think it's important to remember that because there are definitely, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't really understand how modern bullpens work that are livid and think that Scott Service did horrible things, and it's like there were no good answers there. The answer that was chosen was the wrong one, but it wasn't a slam dunk whatever you did.
yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
So the Mariners need to get some bats. They need to go sign Aaron Judge.
The thing is,
Wouldn't that be amazing?
so if they got, that's the thing.
we can still fantasize about that, right? Like,
until we can't anymore.
Yeah.
Who's all available this year? I mean, we
There's
know
a lot
Judge
of
is.
shortstops. I know Trey Turner is available.
Oh, I would love Trey Turner.
Carlos Correa. Oh, wait, no, he might have just signed a 1-year. No, I think Carlos Correa is a free agent.
So I'm really bummed that Shohei signed because that's who I was holding out for. And not only am I bummed for the Mariners, I'm bummed for Shohei.
yeah,
What is he doing?
For serious.
Shohei's agent is an idiot.
Did he sign a big extension?
It was like a $30 million extension. I'm not sure
For
how
one
many
what are
year?
you doing?
Is it
showing
1 year?
It
Loyalty
has
to
to be.
Disney?
$30 million has to be
Trade
1 year.
for him. I don't care. Get Shohei on your team, not only for Mariners' sake, but for Shohei's sake. That poor guy. His agent is horrible. To get him back in LA.
Maybe the key is to get Mike Trout.
Do they not see what happened to Mike Trout?
But didn't he want to play with Mike Trout?
Yeah, he wanted
So-
to be there because of Mike Trout.
it
Well,
might
guess
not
what?
be
That
his
didn't
agent.
work. That didn't work, Shohei.
It did.
Come
He's
play in
playing
the
Mike
come
Trout.
come play in the organization where Ichiro, your other hero, is still involved. You can hang out with Ichiro all day and hit dingers and throw shutouts.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I had forgotten that he was a pitcher at this. Like I knew that, but I had not thought about that as you were saying bringing him in. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Right?
Then Robbie Ray really would be 5th guy in the
He'd be
rotation.
the,
Exactly.
He'd be the 6th starter.
Robbie Ray would be down in AAA in case someone got hurt.
That would be brutal.
Hanging out with Jared Kelenic.
But that's the thing, though.
Maybe.
So they tried to bring in Jesse Winker, who by all the numbers was the best left fielder in the game at the moment.
Yeah.
And then he was so bad they made up an injury for him so that they could bring Kelenic up.
That's like completely made up on your part, though.
Yeah, but didn't he play in the game previously?
There had been some speculation that he was struggling with an injury, though.
Okay.
For several weeks.
Okay.
But the Frazier thing is notable too. Like he has been a good hitter his whole career, and he came in and batted like 240.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
And most of the time he was under that. He actually got hot at a point to get it up to that range.
He hit well in the Toronto series. Though.
And that's the thing, is he kind of... Do you think his playoff series saved his Mariners career?
Maybe.
It saved him in my eyes. Like if Winker is a starting outfielder at like in spring training next year, I'm going to be frustrated.
Yeah.
If Frazier is a starting in the infield, I'm going to be skeptical. But I won't be automatically booing.
Right.
Or, I won't be specifically frustrated by that. I'll be like, "Oh man, I hope if maybe he can turn around."
So, and Frazier's, I just looked, he's a free agent. So, if you get Trey Turner, I'm sorry, Frazier.
Move JP over to second? Or?
You move one of them, because Trey Turner's played everywhere. Mm-hmm. Trey Turner is like the superest of all super utility guys, because he could play shortstop every day for you, but he also can play second. He can play outfield. Like, Trey Turner's just amazing. So I think you could actually leave Crawford at shortstop. And Trey Turner, just his slides alone just make me shudder and get chills sometimes. And that's using words that I'm just trying to keep it PG of how...
I was going to say, you seem aroused.
Trey Turner slides and Daniel's like,
Andrew gave a laugh that accompanies a YouTube comment.
Rob Burns says that Robbie Ray threw the holy hand grenade of Antioch to Alvarez.
Yes. And it was...
He forgot to pull the pin, apparently.
He did what? He threw a hand grenade of what?
The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Go watch a movie.
Okay.
Have you not seen...
I'm not even telling you to read a book. Watch a movie.
Have you seen Monty Python, The Search for the Holy Grail?
I started watching. I got bored. It's not that good.
Your friend group loved it when they were teenagers. I'm surprised nobody forced you to watch it.
I had a lot of really dumb friends. Still do.
Hey, now. Let's see.
My wife is wondering who invited Justin.
Yeah. So you got Ty France at first.
Pax said I could come.
DH is another spot. You don't need Carlos Santana there. You don't need to try and platoon everybody.
If Carlos Santana has a resurgence because of the band shift, do you want to keep him around?
I'm not. My dad texted me, enough Mariners go to Beavs.
Daniel was
I don't think anything. The Beavers haven't done anything interesting.
We're
recently.
in multiple. We're in multiple group chats in which the Beavers came up over the weekend, and Daniel he didn't even care. He didn't even take a victory lap or anything.
I was so depressed, and also we beat our fellow little brothers.
Little brother.
My assumption was that Daniel was still dealing with the Mariners.
That was
all that mattered.
I was. And also, I would have been upset had they lost to Wazoo this year in this matchup. Because after what they did with USC, and then I just expect bigger things from them. And so it was really hard when they lost to Utah. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. So, is Trey Turner actually? Yes, okay, so that would be my number one want. But that's just because he's one of my favorite players. And then Aaron Judge. Because you could also DH him. He would be an option, if you didn't want, but also he's not a bad outfielder. He's an okay outfielder.
You're talking about Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Brantley is also a free agent, I believe.
I don't know who that is.
Michael Brantley? Isn't Michael Brantley? Oh, I know. He's an old dude, though.
Oh, is he? I just know his name because he was on the Astros.
Yeah, he's such a good hitter. He's just like one of those. You remember how when the Mariners were really bad and they'd sign some old guy and everybody would be like, he's just a professional hitter. That's Michael Brantley is one of the best professional hitters there is. But yeah, Aaron Judge, Do you think it could happen?
Could it? Absolutely.
Well, I know he wants to come to the West Coast. Well,
I didn't even know that.
I've heard he wants to come to the West Coast because he's from the West Coast. But I'm pretty sure he's from like California.
I was gonna say when
so
people
why
say
would he,
West Coast, they're
But
not usually
right
talking about
now-
the PNW.
Are the Dodgers?
Wouldn't he just go to the Dodgers?
Are the Dodgers looking for an outfielder?
The
I
Dodgers
know
don't.
he's the best available outfielder in the best that there is, not best outfielder.
I'm saying the Dodgers don't care. They're like,
fair.
We have Monet. We will spend.
Fair. I guess I meant like, are they likely to go after a really high ticket outfielder?
Well, now that the National League has a DH, what's going on here?
Andrew's
Did a
trying
spider
to catch a bug in front of his camera.
Oh, okay. Now that there's a DH in the National League, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Okay.
Because there's that extra spot in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There are some other good outfielders. Do you bring back Mitch Haniger? That's another discussion. I feel like I'm going to need to take
a free agent, or does he have another year on his arbitration avoiding deal?
He's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
We have a chance to provide a qualifying offer with him, I believe. But yeah, so there's some decisions to be made, and there's definitely some good players out there in free agency. But I think Eugenio solidified himself as the third baseman, right?
Yeah.
I think we all like him. We all like Ty France.
Eugenio, yeah.
We like J.P. Crawford at either short or second. Julio, obviously in center. I think you got 2 outfield spots to play with if you want, and then you
hopefully Kyle Lewis will be back.
Hopefully either Kyle Lewis, Kelnick, or Trammell work out at one of those outfield spots.
I was going to say, hopefully between those 3, one of them is
But
good.
I think you only leave one spot open for those 3 guys, and then you just have them in your arsenal, as like backup type dudes. I don't think you count on 2 of them to pan out. I think you count on maybe one of them to pan out.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to keep open the idea that one might be Kyle Lewis, and he might be only really good at DH.
DH and left, yeah. I could see him as turning into like one of those left fielders.
Well, if you DH him, then he won't get hurt as much.
Yeah, that's
Hopefully.
another good point.
So
second base,
still up in the air.
Frazier's. So you need an infielder because Frazier's a free agent. And you don't, for all that I know, you don't have somebody in the minor leagues like knocking down the door to come play infield. You have Raleigh at catcher. The dude was hitting cleanup for you in the playoffs. That shows how good he is. You're pitching, maybe add another starter. Depends on what you do with Marco type deal, or what you think with the next crop of younger guys.
What's Ty France's natural position?
First. Okay. I would say that. He came up playing third and second and being known as a bad defender.
Okay.
He moved to first and became a Gold Glove defender.
Got it.
Which also shows you the difficulty of which positions are. He was a bad third and second baseman and became a Gold Glove caliber. He hasn't won one yet, but a Gold Glove caliber first baseman.
Are you sure that that's not just his ability to like make friends with literally every single person that gets to first base?
Could be. So what you're looking at is you have an outfield position, a second baseman or a shortstop, if that person is good enough to move JP to second, and a DH. Those are their 3 spots to upgrade at. Nelson Cruz is
45 years old?
a million years old, but we love him, and he can play DH probably.
I would be down with that just because I love the guy.
Right, and JD Martinez is also out there at DH too. So there's some big time names this
Robinson
year, man.
Cano's available.
So I just want to put out there that it doesn't seem like Service. Justin Holland is the new GM.
Yeah.
So it's Holland and Service.
But DePoto's going to have his fingers everywhere.
He's over the top of it all. But I
put it on the poll.
It doesn't
DePoto
seem
going
like
to have his fingers everywhere.
It doesn't seem like they like a DH.
That's true. They tend to like that role as a spot too, and yet they got Santana.
They
and
did
basically stuck him there.
They did,
but they got him when France was hurt. So
and when their outfielder that they brought in wasn't play
that's a good point.
It was a mid-season adjustment for sure.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna try and do a deep dive to get more into the free agency for this year. I think we kind of strayed away from our grieving process a little bit more than I was hoping for.
Are you
with
feeling
this
too
discussion.
optimistic?
Well, when you brought up the 2012 Seahawks, it did get me a bit excited because that is kind of what this feels like, isn't it?
It's a similar feeling. It feels like a beginning.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, and it's exciting.
So the Astros are the 49ers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because didn't the Niners go to like 3 straight NFC championships before that?
Except that it's like the 49ers, but if the 49ers also took cheap shots like the not the Steelers, the other team in that division.
Not the Steelers?
No.
Steelers take cheap shots.
Yeah,
They had James Harrison
well,
on their team.
The
Ravens?
Yeah.
Browns?
No. Yeah,
Bengals?
Bengals.
There we
That's
go.
what I was thinking the Bengals.
I'll just
Bengals
name all of
are
them.
cheap shotters?
Well, remember they had Perfect.
Yeah, they had perfect for.
I'm
But
not
the
sure if
Steelers
there's.
had
I don't know if
James
they are
Harrison.
now.
Like I don't.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not,
right. No,
And the Ravens had Ray Lewis.
that whole division.
he was a literal
man.
murderer.
Alleged.
Legend.
I don't know why I'm defending him.
I don't
but
think it was
somebody
alleged.
had to say
I think
alleged.
he literally
No, it
admitted
was-
to being a part of it.
And the Browns had Peyton Hillis.
He flipped
Who-
on his homies, I think is what happened.
Browns had. Well, according to that one guy on ESPN, you need a fall guy.
Chris Carter said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Carter.
So we are going to do Stump Daniel.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk some Seahawks. But I think we did enough Mariners. We're going to.
By the way, just for my dad, the Beavers did play really well against the Cougars this week and got a big win. And I'm very excited about it. And they do have a good team this year. They had a bad letdown against a good Utah team and got kind of pasted after they had USC beat and just let them get away. So the Beavers should be, by the end of the year, a ranked team. I don't think they will be because everybody hates the Pac-12 and just slobbers all over the SEC. But that's my opinion on
college football is bonkers this year. Alabama lost today, and I think
they lost to Tennessee.
I think
amazing.
didn't Utah just beat USC today?
Did
Yes.
Utah take that?
Utah beat
Yesterday.
USC yesterday.
I think so. Yeah.
High scoring game.
Gotcha.
And Oklahoma beat somebody good. There's been college football is a mess.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Peyton about that, my son, this morning, and he's like, "Well, I'm rooting for this, and I'm rooting for this," and I was like, "Are you rooting for anything to happen or just chaos?"
Yeah.
Oh.
And he was like, "Chaos."
Oh yeah.
I
We're
like
on the
your
same
son.
page.
Yeah.
So I think that Oregon State has a good chance to run the table for the rest of the year. I do realize that means beating Oregon at the end of the season.
Easy.
Oregon
Easy
can
dub.
suck it.
Oregon
Easy
looked
dubs.
weak against WSU.
But if they
to me.
do,
I know they lost.
they will have lost to number 7 at the time USC and number 12 Utah, who then beat USC, and those will be their only 2 losses. So if they can take
none
care
of
of
them will be
business,
ranked.
yeah, it could be true. But if that's the case, then I think the Beavers will have a good season.
Stump Daniel
okay.
on the other side of this break.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Domashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit domashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
The scrimmage is brought to you by Oly Pen Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. I am Justin Domashevitz, no relation.
What's the A stand for?
And Daniel Hargrove is here with me, as well as our trusty producer, Andrew Gross. And now, after that commercial, we have the segment that is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. It's called Stump Daniel, and it's my favorite part of the show.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Daniel, this week I thought to myself, this is a very Daniel-centric list of polls.
I really enjoyed the last 2 weeks, by the way. The mascots, even though last week was harder.
It was so fun.
High school mascots was really
I was
fun.
talking to a friend of mine who listens to the show, and he said, I just know that everybody was listening going, Bulldogs! Bulldogs! It's Bulldogs! Daniel, it's Bulldogs!
Every time because everyone was Bulldogs.
There was one in particular that this is a thing that I don't know if everybody picks up on this at home, but I try really hard to manipulate the result. And there was a point where I was like, all right, a lot of this has been Bulldogs. We were going from a 2-point question to a 3-point question, and I sidetracked you intentionally so that you would forget that it was Bulldog, and you wouldn't guess Bulldog on the next one.
You're a crafty bugger.
Thank you. That's how I'm best known.
Justin Domashevitz.
Crafty bugger. Well, so Daniel, I looked at these polls from last week, and I thought these are very Daniel-centric. Let's see how well
Shocker.
Daniel knows our audience.
Oh, no.
So
Every single
today's
one, wasn't it?
pretty much. One of them was me related, but we'll get to that. There are 6 polls, Daniel.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the poll, and you are going to try to guess the result. How well do you know our listeners? If you are within 10%, you get 1 point.
Okay.
If you're within 20%, you get 2 points. If you're within 30% of the correct answer... Oh, I did that backwards.
You did that backwards. I was like, this is getting easier.
3 points for 10%.
Okay.
2 points for 20%.
Okay.
1 point for 30%.
Okay.
Anything outside of 30% accurate, you get 0.
All right.
6 polls.
6 of them.
The
Trying
first
to get to
one,
that beef zone.
The first poll question was...
You didn't say there was one, but I'm going to take it.
Should Daniel be canceled for accidentally calling Cleveland's baseball team by its former name? The options are yes or no, Daniel. Should Daniel be canceled for accidentally...
I'm going to say this is 65-35 in favor of me
canceling
getting
Daniel.
canceled.
Well, you're wrong. In fact, Daniel, 60% of our audience said you should not be canceled.
No,
for that.
and with the 5%, I got myself just outside of a point, didn't I?
Yes, you did. So you got you got 1 though, right? Because you said 60. So
said 65.
you said 65. So 40% said yes, which means you're within the 30, so you get 1 point. Sorry, the point system is complicated.
Okay, as
and
usual.
math is hard.
I'm glad the point system is
But
complicated.
don't worry, they're made up and they don't matter.
But also, Daniel, I think it's comforting to know that our listeners thought you should not be canceled
I
for
appreciate
calling
that.
the Cleveland baseball team by its previous name.
I appreciate that, seeing as like I've heard national and regional broadcasters do it almost weekly.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay.
Should Daniel be canceled for calling a pro baseball player fat? Which is really a lot of deflection by me because I'm the one who brought up Alejandro Kirk and his round frame and short stubby arms.
You weren't the one who brought it up. The broadcast wouldn't shut up about it.
And then
they were basically calling him a D&D guy who lives in his mom's basement the whole time.
I said that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Justin.
But still, they kept bringing it up like, oh, can you believe? Oh, it's Tim Kirchin. Can you believe how weird baseball is that we have such a weird-looking athlete like Alejandro Kirk? Sorry.
I'm glad you brought up Kirkchin because that's going to come back soon.
That was not my best Kirchin.
Rob Burns says that Daniel Vogelbach resents this question.
Daniel, did our audience think you should be canceled for calling a pro baseball player fat? And if so, what percentage of them?
No, they're going to side with me on this one. I'm going to go 70% no, 30% yes.
You are correct. It's 64% no.
Yes.
And 36% yes. So, Daniel, you get 3 points for that. And
thank you, audience.
2 times I offered the audience an option to cancel you, and both times they declined.
That's really disappointing.
You didn't offer him just an opportunity to cancel me. You said for a specific reason.
True.
I think if you just said, hey, should Daniel be canceled, the numbers might flip a little bit.
That will be on the polls next week. Next poll, Daniel.
Should Daniel be canceled? No reason.
This is based on something you said directly.
Oh, no. That doesn't sound good.
Did Daniel, quote, do a great Kirkchin over the weekend?
Oh, no. Nope.
What did our audience think, Daniel?
I'm going to go 70% no, 30% yes.
You were correct that they said no, but only 57% said no.
Oh.
So better than you thought.
Good.
Also, you're within the 20% range, which means you get 2 points. You're up to 6.
Here we go.
3 poll questions left. Do you miss the days when Daniel was terrible at fantasy football and Justin could make fun of him constantly? That is something that I was being nostalgic about last week, and I said I miss it when Daniel stunk at fantasy football.
I voted yes on this.
Some would say I'm still bad at fantasy football.
I don't see how anyone could say that.
Well, I'm not doing that great, guys.
Well, you're in the top half of both of our leagues, and in one of them,
I'm
you were in second behind me, I think, right?
Oh, you're right. We're both 4-1 going into this week. I think
I have
I'm going to
more
lose
points than you, though.
And I think I'm going to lose that my matchup in that week. And then
this is the intro all over again.
Yep. And then the other one, I'm 4th out of 12, but I am winning. So
And I think you're also leading the league in points scored.
not quite.
So what percentage?
You were a couple weeks ago.
What percentage, Daniel, of our audience misses the days that you were terrible at fantasy football and I could make fun of you constantly?
I'm going to say 80% misses those days. 80-20.
That's pretty far off.
Dang it.
Because this has never happened before. Well, 100% of our audience does miss the days when you were terrible at fantasy football.
Well, I'm glad I went that high.
But you're still within the 20%.
Yeah.
So you still get 2 points.
Son of a gun. Sorry.
So I got 2 points on that one.
It's a wah-wah and a bing, I think.
Yeah.
You threw me off.
You're up to 8. Are you keeping track as well?
Yes, I am also
Okay.
keeping track.
You don't trust my scoring?
I do, but I like to know for my own notes.
Okay, now I've got 2 douche or no douche poll questions.
Should I sabotage the segment for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I was at school at Washington State for
Douche.
broadcasting.
Definitely douche.
Yeah. I went to school for news broadcasting, and they said at some point some of the older students, some of the seniors, who had been more involved with the news side of things, because I was a senior as well when I was doing the TV news. We had to produce it every day. I think I had to do it 2 or 3 times a week. They said it happens once a semester. Don't be this guy. And they showed me the one from the last semester of somebody cracking up laughing on the show while we were doing the news.
No breaking.
Yeah, no breaking. Don't be this guy, but it happens once a semester.
Okay.
And he was laughing during like some serious story about like a murder or a death or something.
That's bad.
I was doing the sports one day, and do you remember that pitcher for the Oakland A's? His name was Justin Dukeshire. And the way it's spelled was kind of ambiguous. So I was reading the sports, and I said, Justin Dukeshire on the mound through 3 solid innings. And all of a sudden, I look over, and I see the camera guys, like, shaking with laughter. And so I lose it. I'm just like, start, like, twitching and laughing. And then I was like, all right, just, cut it, get to the next story. The next story was a piece that I had written about dodgeball, and I threw a ton of dodgeball quotes in it from the movie.
Sure do like pumpkins, Cotton.
And so I just lost it, and I was just breaking down laughing. So I was the guy that semester.
It's a bold strategy.
And it was all because of Justin Dukeshire. Yeah.
Good story.
Yeah, sorry.
Douche or no douche? Guy who shortens jabroni to jabron.
Ooh.
Douche or no douche?
Who would do that?
I'm going to go. This one, I think, will split our audience. I think this is 50-50.
You could not be more wrong.
Oh.
100% of the audience said douche.
Oh, no.
Which literally was you last week.
I just thought it was a good shortening. You jabron.
You're stuck at 8 points.
Dang it.
I wonder what percentage of the audience assumed that Justin was the one shortening words.
That's a fair point. I do that a lot. I do. Yeah. And sometimes I like to shorten them in a way that nobody else does. Like some people would call a situation a sitch. I call it a situation.
Both of those are terrible. I hate people who do both of those things.
We'll put that on next week's poll.
Situation. You know what
So
drives
do you
me
root
nuts?
for the nurse?
Speaking of shortening words,
The nurse.
The nurse?
Yeah, definitely.
That was the thing Joe Fan tried to start a while ago.
The Mariners?
The nurse.
Oh, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Go nurse.
You know in TV shows where they're always like, GSW? That is literally takes longer to say than gunshot wound. Because you're adding I forgot that you're adding syllables. Because GSW instead of gunshot wound.
Maybe it's a text.
It is. It totally is. And I think that
makes sense.
actually happens in real life, but it frustrates me because
it's longer.
It's longer. Exactly. They're like, you're trying to shorten it. I'm like, by making it longer. Good job. Okay. Anyway.
Last poll question.
Okay.
It's another douche or no douche, and it has a typo in it. It was supposed to say, douche or no douche. Rec league softball player who rubs his leg with his palm and says, my quad just isn't right today, guys.
I don't remember this coming out.
But I actually put rec league softball player who rubs his leg with his palm and says, my quad just isn't guy today, guys. So, Daniel, douche or no douche, and what percentage?
I'm going to go 80% douche.
You're going to get 3 points. 88% douche was the correct answer.
Let's go.
You're within 10%. You finished with 11 out of a possible 18. Definite Coug Zone.
I'll take it.
Nice.
And that concludes Tump? That concludes Tump Annual, which is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz by Jeffrey A. Amashevitz. So we're going to talk a little Seahawks.
Yeah,
and then
just
we're going to
a
wrap
little.
up this show.
Yep.
And then if you're on the YouTube channel and you don't care about anything we're doing now, we're going to take a quick break for Daniel to pee after we talk Seahawks. And then we're going to talk local sports. And we got lots of good stuff to discuss. So hang tight. But real quick, Daniel, did you pay attention to the Seahawks game?
Not as much as I wish I would have.
Andrew, did you pay attention to the Seahawks game?
I took a
Not as much as I would have liked to.
I
Justin,
paid
did you
attention exactly as much as I would have liked to, which was very little. But the Seahawks won.
Okay.
They are 3-3.
They are 3-3. And Gino, while he didn't have his best day, still no picks. Has he thrown a pick this year? I think he might have thrown one, but I want to say it was like garbage time or like desperation time. So that is the most impressive thing I would say about Gino so far is when he came in and played last year, I think, and that was why I came into it with this year's opinion.
Yeah.
Is because he did not look good last year.
Yeah, you weren't alone.
Or really in the
It wasn't
preseason.
like Daniel was the lone Smith hater. I'm pretty sure everyone is shocked outside of a handful of players.
But you know what? Andrew, I brought this up last week. I'll bring it up again. Andrew said that normally I would be all over this storyline of underdog guy from nowhere being awesome. And you know what? Good for Geno Smith. He did get sacked 5 times.
That's your producer knowing you.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. He did get sacked 5 times, though. So that's a bit of a problem. Thankfully, Kenneth Walker the third
is the truth.
New beast mode.
He looks so good. Did you guys see that run? I think you texted me after that run.
The 20-yard run that he was down in the backfield and then broke 4 tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was filthy.
Yeah.
And then was it the next run where he was also down in the back and he didn't gain that many yards, but he got it like to a 1 yard or a no gain.
And
at that point I was like, oh yeah, that's totally what Beast Mode had to do. You remember how many runs he would have where he would break like 5 tackles just to get back to the line of scrimmage?
But the fun thing about
I wish they had an offensive line. Sorry.
Daniel threw something. The fun thing about Kenneth Walker was the touchdown run.
Yeah.
That was an outside run that was a hop, skip, and a jump and a sprint to the sideline.
Yeah.
Like, he got to display the wheels there, too.
Yeah. No, he looks real good. And I'm excited for him. I think Penny looked real good, too. But, dang, that just sucks for that guy.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he's out for the season.
Yeah.
And he's a free agent next year.
Yeah.
So
we'll probably have him back. Because he's been hurt all the time, and we'll probably be the only people to give him a shot. Well, why not?
He was going to be a free agent this year, and the Seahawks signed him.
Yeah, for a 1-year deal. He signed kind of a prove-it deal and then gets hurt. The poor guy.
Brutal.
Just, I hate that. Anyway, but Geno also looked good on the run today. Not only, he did lose a fumble, I'm just now seeing, but he had 6 carries for 48 yards, but also some of his movement in the backfield looked pretty darn good escaping pressure.
Did he lose a fumble or did he get it back?
It says fumble lost on Bleacher Report.
Okay, gotcha.
So you can blame Bleacher Report if that's wrong.
Gotcha.
Our punter also apparently rushed for negative 10 yards and lost a fumble, which I'm pretty sure turned into a touchdown. What the crap happened to our defense? They have been terrible, and all of a sudden this week they were amazing.
I think
They had 6 sacks?
Diggs said that there were a lot of guys that were angry, and it translated to good play. That was what he said at the podium.
6 sacks.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Good to see Ryan Neal back playing well. I really like that guy. It sucks that Jamal Adams has just turned into basically the Rashad Penny that you wasted 3 draft picks on, or however much they spent for
and
him.
2 first-rounders?
Something like that. But man, that sucks for that guy. But I'm glad that Ryan Neal's getting his shot again. Brooks played well again. Cody Barton played middle linebacker and had 2 tackles. Can we bring back Joel DeBlanco,
Let's have
please?
2 middle linebackers, but one of them
sucks.
Good strategy.
Yeah, can we please bring Joel DeBlanco back?
We'll mention it every week till it happens.
I know I'm a homer on this one.
or
but,
until you win the Super Bowl.
But good Lord, he's not good. Yeah. Barton is not good. He's a good special teams guy. Leave him there. Oh, my goodness.
Special teams, Speams.
The other takeaway for this for me, getting outside of
That should be is
and
is
again,
that a douche move?
Douche or no douche, guy who combines special teams
this
to
is
Speams.
this year is killing my fantasy team, right? Like, even though I have Kenneth Walker on one of my teams, my other team had Penny. My other team also has Metcalf and Lockett.
Well, Metcalf and Lockett now have the best quarterback in the NFL.
Not
throwing to
today.
them, so-
Not
today.
Had a good
Maybe
day
not
today.
after today.
They had Metcalf had 7 targets
Through 5 weeks.
7 targets, 2 receptions for 34 yards. Lockett had 5 targets, 2 receptions for 17 yards.
Why aren't they catching it?
Brutal.
I wasn't watching. Honestly, I wasn't watching closely enough
Gino-
to know if those were drops or they're throwing them into just impossible situations.
There was at least 2 plays that Gino threw to DK that I was like, that's a force.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm going to throw it to my biggest, strongest guy.
Yep.
And there was a deep bomb into the end zone that he tried to Lockett, which honestly looked a lot like the deep bombs that Lockett catches, where he's got a guy kind of right behind him and then the ball gets dropped right in his hands.
Yeah.
But it was a little underthrown, and the defender made a really good play. I mean, I don't have an issue with him attempting that throw. He needed to throw it a little deeper. You can definitely trust Lockett in that
That's where you
scenario.
miss Russ. Because he was always money on those throws specifically.
Yeah, well, Gino's hit those too this year. At least one deep one to Lockett like that where he dropped it right in the bucket.
You know, I'm wondering, like, is Gino showing kind of the systemic problem in the NFL when it comes to quarterbacks?
Yes. Which one?
Really quick, before we get to that, my biggest takeaway from today's game is what we've been saying a lot this year is Woolen is a stud.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's his first name? I don't even know. It's
Tariq.
Tariq Woolen is 6'4", 210, runs a freaking 4.27, 4.26 40, and
That's real fast.
he's also showing that the dude's got ball skills.
Yeah.
How in the world did he drop so far? NFL scouts are morons.
Also,
Morons.
he was
This is insane.
It's more insane than that because he was recognized in college football as being the best cornerback on that team, and yet Sauce Gardner was...
No. You're mixing 2 guys up.
Oh, no, you're right.
Kobe Bryant.
I'm mixing him with Corbin.
You're mixing it with
Kobe
Kobe
Bryant.
Bryant, which also has been playing really
Woolen-
well. He forced the fumble that Woolen recovered.
Woolen, it was entirely lack of experience.
The big thing, though,
but
really,
when you have
in
those
that,
tools,
with what Andrew just did, was he was serious. He picked up his microphone stand.
he did.
He grabbed it and he caressed it and he held it in front of him.
Well, Woolen is the guy who his next jersey purchase is gonna be Tariq Woolen, and maybe me too, because I already have a Tyler Lockett, and I'm still a Lockett guy, and 16 is like my new number, so
Lockett guy.
It works out. I'm a Lockett guy. But Woolen's amazing. The fact that he's showing that he has ball skills to go with 4.26 speed as well as 6'4" height and length, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I might be getting off a little bit here, and I'm not sure if they have a young safety to find, but they have a ton of good young corners, Woolen being at the top of that list. Diggs is a little older. How old is Diggs?
I got it.
But is this... I don't want to call it Legion 2.0. I think you might need a different name because you don't want to have the same name. You want them to be their own people. But this group of DBs is really exciting.
Quandre Diggs is 29.
So he's a little older, football years-wise.
Should have still a few more good years in him.
But this DB group is really exciting, is it not?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, those are my takeaways from the game. If you guys have nothing else to add.
I
They
don't.
also had 6 sacks. Neal had one, Jefferson had one, Ford had one, Harris had one, which was good to see. Nwosu and Darrell Taylor each had one. Those are also good to see.
Do you want the details about Woolen?
Yeah.
Because he went to the University of Texas at San Antonio, so a small school.
You really small.
But definitely better than Sauce Gardner.
And then and then he became a starter at cornerback during his redshirt junior season.
Wow.
Playing receiver before that, and I don't think he started the first 3 games of his sophomore season at receiver. So he had 2 years of starting at a tiny school.
But
They
he also
should have
played
seen
receiver.
that.
He also came in to play. The similarities abound.
Yes.
He also played receiver
Yes.
before DB.
Yeah. And he's fast.
Interesting.
Whereas
Richard Sherman was not fast.
Richard Sherman was not fast.
Richard Sherman was not fast, but he was smart. But Tariq Woolen is fast.
Yeah.
And hopefully smart.
But I guess
Fast and smart.
They
Fart.
both have good ball skills, though, because they both come from being receivers, and they both know. I think it comes with an instinctive thing, because you guys know me. My biggest thing about playing corner is find the friggin' ball.
Turn your head.
Turn your head.
Yeah.
That's what receivers, guys who grew up playing receiver, are naturally inclined to do.
that's what you do every play.
The guys who have only grown up playing corner are not naturally inclined to turn and find the ball. And they miss so many interceptions because of that. Even if they're burned and maybe you would like them to be like, oh, just try and get back. Do you know how many times, especially in like high school football, the ball's underthrown most of the time. Turn your head and turn into a receiver, gosh darn it.
Not when Jaden McElravy throws it.
I do
Dogs.
think that there's a lot. I think you're onto something there because there's a lot of quarterbacks in college that, like, they probably didn't play cornerback their whole life, but they probably played running back,
Yeah.
linebacker, quarterback.
Yeah. Because they were probably the best athlete at their high school.
Or, yeah, exactly. Because they're going to play in college.
Yeah. That's a good point. Anyway,
And they're not receiver.
should we take a second? It's been kind of a longer first half of the pod as it is. Should we take a second on my just real quick thought that quarterback's a really hard position and expecting rookies to all of a sudden be great or they're a bust is really stupid? And is Geno Smith kind of the case study for that?
I think he had 4 years.
He's
and
definitely an
also-
argument.
Did he have 4 years
I'll
as
look
a
it up.
starter?
Yeah, but hold up.
But also with the
point of-
pressure and a crappy team.
What you're saying too, though, the argument isn't you should give them a lot of years. The argument is they shouldn't start
Exactly.
as a rookie.
Exactly. They shouldn't start. I mean, Mahomes didn't start as a rookie,
He did not.
and that worked out really well for him. And maybe even
Pretty well.
And
He threw a pick to end the game tonight, so it wasn't all roses.
Did they lose to Buffalo?
They did.
Nice.
So Geno started all 16 games his rookie year. He started 13 games his second year.
Is that when he got his jaw broken?
I don't know.
Your team sucks. So you're like, hey, you're brand new to the toughest position in the world in the hardest league ever. You're also playing for a really crappy team. Go prove that you're amazing.
We don't have any offensive linemen to protect you, but
Yeah.
don't worry.
Harder
Exactly.
football league, NFL or Premier League?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Harder, like more tough
Harder.
or more difficult?
Harder.
Because tough, definitely NFL, because I've watched Premier League, and those dudes roll around on the ground when somebody licks their neck. So
Why would someone lick their neck?
they're soccer players.
that's how they
I've
roll.
seen weird crap happen on the soccer field, dude.
Neck licking? Nicking?
Nick. That definitely needed a short.
Put it on the poll. Do soccer players lick necks?
Anyway,
do they nick?
Do they nick? Do soccer players nick?
do soccer players nick? Anyway, that's a thought that I think should be reinforced, and seeing what Geno's doing, I think should reinforce that. And I think that's why the Chiefs nailed it so well. I mean, they had Alex Smith, and they're like, hey, we know you're our guy of the future, but you don't have to start yet.
Some teams do that, like especially with guys that aren't picked in the first round. It's like if you pick somebody and he's going to be your franchise guy, the pressure hits so fast to put him in right away.
Yeah.
But like Geno was a second round pick, I think.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't have been that pressure to get him on the field right away.
Exactly. Steve Young sat behind Joe Montana.
It's happening right now with Sam Howell in Washington sitting behind Carson Wentz.
Exactly.
5th round pick.
Exactly.
He'll be the starter. Give it time.
Russell Wilson wasn't expected to be the starter. He just turned out to be better than poopy poop butt soup.
He didn't have a soggy elbow.
Exactly. All right, are we done with the
that?
When Justin starts abbreviating everything, I think it's time to get to the next part of the show. So, for my co-host, Justin, the crafty bugger, Damashevitz.
And Daniel barely cares about the Beavers, Hargrove.
Hey! I resent that. And our producer, Andrew, go Cougs. Gross. You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
I like it. 5-minute break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Did we have some fun high school football games this weekend?
That's true, we did. Daniel, you were at one.
And Justin, you were at another.
I was at another, but
Andrew,
I think before we move on, we need to address what happened in the break before this podcast.
Oh, no.
That doesn't seem important.
Daniel was going to the bathroom in our 5-minute intermission.
That's what it's for.
Andrew and I also both had to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
I offered to let him go first, and he sprinted out the back door and said, "I live in the woods!"
Enough said.
Which I got to say is an understatement.
True.
I still do not know the exact location of where we are. I try and describe it to people, and I don't know how to tell people where we are.
In the woods.
We're just out in the woods
I
somewhere.
feel like my house is in the woods.
I'm like, you guys know where Matlock is, right? And they're like, kind of. I know that there is a Matlock.
Don't worry about it.
And I'm like, it's kind of probably within a 50-mile radius of that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
within, some amount of space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either Mason County or Grays Harbor, one of those.
You might go in and out. Who knows?
Yeah. There's kind of a running joke on the Cascadia Preps podcast that...
Is that the one that you have a beef with?
I tried to start a beef. They didn't bite. It's fine. I listen to their podcast every week. I'll just say this because I don't want to give them a free plug, but I'll just say this since I am interested in high school football. If you are interested in high school football across the state, the Cascadia Preps podcast does a weekly one that usually comes out on Wednesdays with Rylan Spencer and Matt Evans, and they go through all the classifications. They mention all their rankings. They give computer rankings, and then they each do their own rankings. They move through all of them very efficiently. They do a fantastic job. I failed in starting a beef with them. But they have a running joke.
We tried.
When they mention Merriam Knight High School, which is in Matlock, they always go, "Where do they get their kids?" And it's just, so even though I have tweeted them multiple times to tell them,
get their kids?
They get them in Matlock. It's kind of between Elma and Shelton, sort of.
Oh, they were saying, where's the school get their kids?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The woods is what
the woods. Yeah, that's the correct answer. But we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. I was at the Montesano Hoquiam game. Daniel was at Aberdeen's big win over Rochester.
Yep.
We will have to name an athlete of the week, which is going to be so hard because there's so many good choices.
Yeah, there's some monster performances this week.
But we really should just kick this thing off with the local sports roundup.
Let's go. Aberdeen defended its home turf, which is beautiful, by the way, on Friday night with a convincing win. The Bobcats improved to 3-1 in league play with a 35
Start over. Cut. We're not live, are we? When you drink a carbonated beverage, this is a pitfall. When you're on a microphone, sometimes you burp into it.
I totally ruined that.
Douche or no douche? Guy who ruins the local sports roundup by burping into the microphone.
Daniel stopped working at the radio station, and all of a sudden, complete zero professionalism behind the microphone.
Not only did he burp, but he burped and then he lost his composure.
It's terrible. Can I start over, please?
Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Aberdeen defended its home turf. Beautiful, by the way.
Very beautiful.
Friday night with a convincing win. The Bobcats improved to 3-1 in league play with a 35-8 victory over the Rochester Warriors. Bobcat Junior quarterback Brady Springer threw 3 touchdown passes, including 2 to Aiden Watkins, who also... Wait a second. 2 2 receiving touchdowns? Yeah, that's not right.
We'll get to that
Aiden
later.
Watkins, who also scored on an interception. Watkins carried the ball 7 times for 71 yards and caught 5 passes for 99 yards. Aberdeen's defense held Rochester scoreless until the final minutes of the 4th quarter. Next week, the Bobcats will face undefeated WF West on the road, and dang, the Bearcats are looking crazy good this year.
I apologize if I had bad information on the Aberdeen game. I promise you Daniel has stats and he'll correct all of it after this when we talk about it. 4th-ranked Montesano won its 3rd consecutive road game on Friday at Olympic Stadium in Hoquiam. The Bulldogs ran all over the Grizzlies' defense for 355 yards. O-line Athlete of the Week. While junior quarterback Jackson Wilson filled in admirably for injured starter Jaden McElravy in a 47-6 win. Gabe Bodwell led the charge on offense with 165 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns on just 12 carries. Ethan Blundred also eclipsed the century mark with 116 yards and 1 touchdown. Wilson completed 8 of his 12 passes for 82 yards and a touchdown to Bodie Poehler.
Beast Bode.
Poehler and Wilson also each scored a touchdown on the ground. Mateo Sanchez dominated on defense for Montesano, racking up 14 tackles.
That's a lot.
A sack, a fumble recovery, and an interception. Athlete of the Week. Hoquiam's only score came on a beautiful 35-yard pass from Xander Jump to Owen McNeil. Great play by McNeil there. Montesano will host Tenino on Friday and can secure the league's top playoff seed with a win. Hoquiam will travel to Centralia.
Elma dropped to 0-2 in league play with a 66-26 road loss to Tenino on Friday. I guess Tenino's actually better than I thought they were.
They're good.
Junior quarterback Carter Studer added to his impressive season with 223 yards passing and 3 passing touchdowns, while also rushing for a score. The dynamic receiving duo of Gibson Kane and Kyron Hackney also continued to shine for Elma. Kane got 6 passes for 164 yards and a touchdown, while Hackney snagged 5 balls for 54 yards and 2 scores. The schedule doesn't get any easier for the Eagles the rest of the way. Elma will host Eatonville on Saturday, then will take the short trip to Montesano the following week to round out 3 straight games against state-ranked opponents. And Justin, even if you type it in there, I won't call it a tutty.
Say tutty.
Nope.
Do it.
Tutty.
The PL Willapa Valley Titans came away from the Acronym Bowl with a 28-14 upset victory over 3rd-ranked Raymond South Bend on Saturday at Millam Field in South Bend. Speaking of beautiful fields, I was at that field recently. I love it. PWV blanked the potent RSB offense in the second half to hold them to their season-low point total of 14. Will Clements led the Titans with 67 rushing yards. Blake Howard chipped in 55 on the ground and a touchdown. Colton Fluke passed for 2 touchdowns and rushed for another for PWV. Athlete of the Week? Austin Snodgrass played a role in both of RSB's touchdowns, rushing for 1 and connecting with Kai Huey for the other. Both teams will be back in action on Friday. PWV will host Forks, and RSB will travel to Napavine to play the top-ranked Tigers. That is a really good Napavine team.
Really good Nappy-Vine? They're a Nappy-Vine team. If you know what a nappy means in, like, you know, British speak, maybe we'll go with that.
I don't.
Anyway, in girls
Bangers
soccer...
and mash.
In girls soccer, Elma improved to 4-1 in league play with an incredible 11-0 win over Hoquiam.
11-0.
11-0, yeah. The Grizzlies are winless in league play and are decimated by injuries, including their top 2 goalkeepers. So they are on their 3rd-string goalkeeper now. Eagles sophomore forward Miley Seberg scored 6
Double hat trick.
6 goals.
Athlete of the Week?
And her teammate Beta Valentine added 3 goals and 3 assists. Athlete of the Week?
Sticking with soccer, Montesano remained undefeated in league play with a 4-0 shutout against Tenino on Thursday. Michaela Stanfield scored twice and recorded an assist for the 2nd-ranked Bulldogs. Sam Roundtree and Bethany Henderson also scored for Monty.
Aberdeen improved to 6-2 in soccer league play with a 4-1 win over Black Hills on Thursday at Stewart Field. Maddie Gore scored 2 goals for the Bobcats. Annie Troe scored a goal and an assist. Marina Merrill also added a score for the Bobcats.
In volleyball, Montesano rode a stellar 16-kill performance by Addie Winter, who, by the way, also was nominated for Athlete of the Week, to a 3-0 win over Tenino. Ashlyn Devereaux and Maya Young added 7 kills apiece, while Carissa Otterstetter led the Bulldogs with 19 assists. Montesano improved to 4-1 in league play with the win.
Also in volleyball, Hoquiam remained undefeated in league play with a 3-1 win over Elma. Senior middle blocker Chloe Kennedy had a double-double with 18 kills and 12 digs, while senior libero Gracie Bonnie Spradlin added 22 digs for Hoquiam. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Grizzlies senior setter Ella Folkers added 34 assists.
A lot.
Folkers seemed to be good at sports.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
13 digs
Good
and
genes.
was also 19 for 20 in service. Woo! That's good stuff.
Shifting to golf, Aberdeen edged Shelton by a mere 2 strokes, 223 to 225 on Wednesday at Highland Golf Course in Cosmopolis. Charlie Ansich led the Bobcats with a round of 43, followed closely by Baylor Buckets Ainsworth, 44.
Whoa. Baylor Buckets Ainsworth.
Baylor Buckets.
Love
I started
it.
calling him that in junior high at a basketball tournament. I love Baylor. He's a good kid.
Aberdeen swimmer Anna Madisons was named one of the WIAA Athletes of the Week after qualifying for the state meet with a time of 1 minute 13 seconds. 0.44. Is that how you say that?
1 minute and 13.44 seconds.
There you go.
Nice.
And the 100-yard breaststroke. That's Andrew's event
is.
there.
And
in
that is really close to my all-time best.
Wow.
in a meet against Tumwater on September 28th.
And that'll do it for the local sports roundup. I want to thank the Daily World.
Yes.
A lot of these stats come from them. A lot of this information comes from them. So thank you that we still have a newspaper that is focusing on making sure that our high school athletes are recognized.
It's so important. I can't imagine. I think I need to get a subscription because it's important.
Well,
It's important to support the newspaper.
we use an
and your
online subscription to get our stuff every week.
And your local radio stations. It's important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't support them, they can't support you. And that's where this stuff is coming from.
Agreed.
And us. But also, thank you to Justin for compiling all of that. Dude, you put a ton of time into doing all of this week. I really appreciate it, man.
Well, full disclosure,
you did a ton of work going and finding this stuff, most of it, like you said, from the Daily World.
I think we had a couple weeks in a row where we had like basically just football.
Yeah.
And I started to feel a little bad because I know that all the kids in the other sports work just as hard.
Absolutely.
And part of the cornerstone of what we do here is to recognize kids for their work and for their efforts.
Yep.
So achievement, yes. Football's the biggest stage, but there's a lot of other sports going on, and we want to recognize people who achieve, who have worked hard in those other sports. People like Miley Seberg, which, holy crap, 6 goals in one game. I don't care if you're on your 8th string goalie.
Yeah.
6 goals in a game is absolutely nuts.
That's a lot.
So I will remind everyone, and I feel like we've been doing this periodically, we're getting a lot of engagement from people right now. If there's something going on in sports, whether it's soccer, equestrian, golf, like hit us with whatever sport is going on at whatever level locally. We want to know what our local athletes are doing, and we will recognize them for it, I promise.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Aberdeen game, because I think this was a big statement for the Bobcats, proving their league is really tough.
Yep.
It's really tough at the top. There's some games that they need to win to be in that playoff mix, and Rochester's one of them.
Absolutely. And last year was the big bummer, right?
Yeah.
They came into Rochester needing a win, and that was one of their worst games of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of the outcome, they just did not play well last year against Rochester. So coming in this year, man, was there a lot of emotion. This was senior night, and it was an event.
It was the purge.
Oh my gosh. Did I post that video
you did.
on our page?
Yeah, I love it.
So it starts off with like the bells from...
It's just like a siren, right?
Yeah, but it started off with like like to announce that they were even walking down to the banner.
Okay.
It started off with the bells from like I want to say is the song Hell's Bells from AC/DC. Which is like bong, bong. And you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden they get down to their banner and then it starts playing that siren of the Purge. And you're
like a minute and a half.
And you're like,
but the tension
tension just
it
builds.
Never goes away.
And then they burst through it and the entire team just sprints across the field. And this
flags waving.
Yeah. And they've already done their senior night announcements and introductions and talking about their favorite memories and everything. Yeah. And it's just big. It's so cool. And this is a senior class that, I mean, shoot, we've been following this senior class since they were 8th graders. Mm-hmm. Andrew coached that 8th grade team.
I watched them play when they were in 5th grade.
That didn't give up a point.
Yeah.
And I talked to one of their parents. I talked to Cale Going's mom at the game, and I was like, how is this senior night for Cale?
Yeah.
And she's like, I have no idea. It's gone so fast. And on one hand, it's exciting. On the other hand, it gives me anxiety because I'm like, oh my gosh, is my 1-year-old going to turn 18 and have his senior night before I can even think about it? So I start to get nervous about it. Stop it, Andrew. I'm freaking out already. But it's just crazy to me. And Cale, by the way, dude's playing. He's starting at free safety for him.
I thought he was out for the year.
With the fattest knee brace you've ever seen.
I was told that he was out for the year.
We all were.
I know.
It's crazy.
I would be out for 4 years with that injury.
And he played well.
For life.
For life.
And yet this dude, can you imagine? Okay, so I'm not going to say this is for certainty, but I've heard that it's ACL. And I can't say this for certainty, but I heard that McKinley Dalen was also ACL.
Maybe ACLs are overrated.
They're not overrated.
What? They're not overrated.
They are not overrated.
But the recovery, oh my gosh. Before it was like you're done for your career. Then it was like you're done for over a year. Then it was like, 9 months. And now it's like,
yeah, you could play.
Slap a brace on it and we'll do surgery after the season.
How much worse could it get?
What is going on? It's crazy. Anyway, he's super tough. But this was a great game for I'm going to try not to read that right now. Justin, you can bring that up later.
Okay.
We're in the same group text there. This was a great game for the Bobcats. They dominated on defense. Their offense did struggle at times. It really did because they shot themselves in the foot a little bit. Mm-hmm. Penalty-wise, in the first half, they were fine, which Ian Cope, voice of Grace Harbor Sports, was...
He loves that
nickname.
He
loves it when I say that. He was very grateful to not have the, 17 penalties called against Montesano in the previous week on his broadcast.
Against Eatonville, yeah.
So in the first half, there was only 3 total penalties called.
Love it.
The officials decided that was not near enough, so they really pumped up the jam in the next half.
Don't love that.
Yeah. So Aberdeen ended up with 9 penalties to Rochester's 3, which was kind of frustrating. But at the start, they played great. They did lose a fumble on a weird play. It was just kind of a bad pitch in the first drive where they were just driving. Then they lost another fumble where Jeremy Sawyer lost a fumble. I'm doing air quotes here. Mm-hmm. He looked down and forward progress had been stopped for a while, so that was kind of a weird one. Anyway, so they had some turnovers that shut him down a little bit. Aiden Watkins is a stud.
He's had a couple of monster games this year.
This was one of those games, man. I mean, he played so well in this game. He had 7 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown. He had 2 interceptions, and one of them he returned 35 yards for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. He also had at least 1 kick return. I can't remember the first kick return of the game, but he had at least 1 kick return for 33 yards. So our unofficial tally had him for 238 yards of total production.
Including offense, defense, and special teams.
Offense, defense, and special teams. Okay. He had, 170 yards of offense, 3 touchdowns, and multiple tackles. And this dude tackles like... You know when you see a free safety or a linebacker that you just see come flying in to make hits? That's the type of player he is, where you're like, whoa, where did he come from?
He plays aggressive and angry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is fun to
like
watch. Yes, it is very fun to watch. So, and he's only a junior, and this kid is an absolute stud, and he had a massive game. We had him for, again, 238 total yards, offense, defense, special teams, receiving, running, 3 touchdowns, multiple tackles. I've yet to hear back. I tried to send out some feelers to see how many tackles he had, but I was unable to get that back. But
That's a tough stat.
it was a fun game to watch of Aiden Watkins in this one, and that's not to say that other players did not do well. Trey Anderson had a good game. He had a touchdown run as well. Kyle Miller, a senior receiver, had the other receiving touchdown. That's why when I was doing the local sports roundup, I was like, Aiden didn't have 2 receiving touchdowns because Kyle Miller had the other one, and he was a senior. And in a game that that Ian and I broadcast earlier, Kyle Miller had like multiple good plays, either called back by, in our opinion, bad officiating or penalties. You know, like he would catch a touchdown and they call it penalty. So really cool to see the senior Kyle Miller come up with a big touchdown catch as well. Grady Springer, the junior quarterback, played pretty well. He was 9 for 21 passing, 163 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it was a good night for the Aberdeen Bobcats. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I think it's a big deal too because it kind of like as the season goes on, the league is kind of separating into levels, right?
Wait a second.
You're excused.
What do you have?
Aiden Watkins did have 2 receiving touchdowns. Wait a second.
You had 3 total, right? 1 defensive and 2 offensive.
Well, that doesn't make it confusing.
Yeah.
You're right. So here's where I messed up. It was he had 2 receiving touchdowns. He did not have a rushing touchdown.
But one of the receiving touchdowns was
where I was
on
wrong.
like I saw the video of it. It was like a pass to the flats and he ran.
I believe that's on our Twitter, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one could have been like you could have just mixed it up and that could have been considered a run.
I think that was a receiving touchdown. So bad job by me.
Okay.
So he still had 3 total touchdowns, but
Yeah.
I don't think he scored 1 rushing. It was both receiving.
Two offensive and 1 defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the big deal for the Bobcats as they go through the season is there's a clear top. You know, they've already played Tumwater. They got punched in the mouth by Tumwater. WF West
Punched Tumwater in the mouth.
Tumwater's butt.
Yeah.
So those 2 teams feel like top tier of Evergreen 2A. And then you
As
got
usual.
Rochester and Centralia at the bottom, and then you got Aberdeen and Shelton, which means this Shelton game that's coming
And Black
up.
Hills.
And Black Hills, which also, I guess, I don't want to write Black Hills off completely. They've had a ton of injury issues this year, and so they're losing to everybody. But basically, like, I think Aberdeen is in that second tier of the league with Shelton.
Yeah.
So I think being able to win the Rochester game, being able to win the Centralia game, being able to win the Black Hills game, like you've proven, okay, there's a bottom tier of the league and we are not in it.
Yep.
We may not be up there where Tumwater and WF West are, but we're a playoff team and we're going to go compete for a playoff spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think Aberdeen proved that with this one. 35-8 victory. This was a statement. Yeah. And really, let's see, Rochester had like 3 or 4 first downs. Or I think they had 2 first downs in the first half, 2 or 3 first downs in the first half, and maybe 2 or 3 in the second half. Yeah. I mean, Aberdeen's defense was absolutely dominant in this one. So that was the best part to see is even with all the injuries. Because this Aberdeen team, Coach Bridge mentioned it in our pregame in Ian's pregame interview. They have been decimated by injuries.
Yeah, since the beginning of the year and preseason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yet this team defense is absolutely legit.
Yeah.
And their offense still has weapons. I mean, and you look at, they got Jeremy Sawyer, who we know is a stud.
And he didn't even have a good game.
Didn't even have that great of a game. He kind of just pounded the middle and broke everything up and sucked everything to the inside, and then the big hitters did stuff in the passing game.
If you ask some people, he's the best back on the team. It just that's what I'm saying. It's not to say that Jeremy's better than anybody else, but that's how multifaceted the offense can be.
Trey Anderson is also amazing. Yeah. Didn't have his greatest game, and yet at the end they were like, let's turn to Trey. And their last touchdown drive, Trey had a 13-16, a 13-yard, a 16-yard run, and then he finished it off with a 10-yard run for a touchdown. So Trey's great.
Mm-hmm.
So they really...
He's had big games before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have like a three-headed monster there in the backfield with Trey, Jeremy, and Aiden.
Yeah.
You can also move Aiden out to the outside. They also move Trey out to the outside. They are really multiple because all those kids are great with their hands. So Jeremy can catch passes out of the backfield as well. And also, I can't remember, what's his first name? Walsh.
Patrick
Walsh. He's a darn good player himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's making plays out there too. He's another junior. And then Marcus Hale is a sophomore, running back, fullback type kid. I coached him in baseball. That dude's a stud as well. Made also some big plays. And they have a ton of talent, and they have sustained injuries. We've talked about Jacob Bowers. He's one of their best athletes. He's been out since day one.
Yeah.
Their first day of practice, he got hurt. And yet they have responded, and they had some tough losses early in the season, but they are responding. And I'm really glad to see that.
Yeah.
Excited.
I think that's the fun part about this is like, obviously we had a show a few weeks ago where we kind of dwell on the negative because they went to Prosser and got their butts kicked.
Yep.
And I think the hard part about watching a game like that is that this was supposed to be the year where you're supposed to compete with Tumwater. You're supposed to compete with Prosser, and they haven't done that. But I think it's notable, like you've been mentioning the injuries. That's been going on since preseason, beginning of the year, and the hits haven't stopped coming. Like they've been playing without Paul Baltazar, who's
he wasn't in this game.
Returning all-league lineman on both sides of the ball, and he's really good.
Yep.
And when you start to get healthy and maybe you start to get some of these players back on the field, the hope, I think, is that if your coaches can put together a good game plan, that you will be able to compete with the top teams. So if Aberdeen can manage to continue to win, beat Shelton, get into a crossover game, get into the state playoffs, and maybe get healthy at the right time. I don't know enough about the timelines of their guys, but I think this was a team that was supposed to be able to compete with the top of the state. And that's what I'm still holding out hope for.
Yeah. I really am too, and I think they're finding their own with it too. I think Grady Springer is getting better and better. It's really funny, a couple of these drives. So on the touchdown drive, the first touchdown drive where it ended with a touchdown reception to Aiden Watkins, he threw a bomb, and it was about 10 yards underthrown, so much so that I pulled the Top Gun reference where he hit the brakes and the defender flew right on by, and then he turned around, made the catch, and then made the play. And then on the very next play, he threw an absolute dime to Aiden Watkins for the touchdown. Like, hit him in stride perfect down the seam. Then on the touchdown drive that finished with Kyle Miller making the catch, it was like the same exact thing. It was hilarious. He threw a bomb to Kyle Miller that Kyle had to stop for, and the corner kind of ran right on by because he didn't stop in time. He makes the catch. And then the very next play, throws a dime to Miller in the end zone. And so I think Grady Springer is getting better and better. So I don't know. I think the future of this season is really good for the Bobcats.
And I think the big tests are going to be when you play the WF Wests of the world, when you play the Tumwaters of the world, when you get into the state playoffs. Hopefully you get into the state playoffs. When you get there, can you compete with those teams? Because Aberdeen has definitely proved that they can compete with all the teams on the second tier, and they've been really good. And I think just hopeful would be the best way I could describe what will happen down the road for the Bobcats. But they have to be commended because this has been a really good season.
Absolutely.
We'll shift gears quickly and go into the Montesano game. I think what we'll do is we'll talk about the Monte Hoquiam game. Sorry, go ahead.
Francis says he's played soccer since he was 3, which is longer than I did because I started playing at 5.
And he's like 40
He's also
now.
older than you.
So that means he's been playing soccer for like 40 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Does he still play soccer?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
He's a frolfer now.
Anyway, he said never been nicked, and he's never nicked. So certainly not a practiced skill. And player must have been improvising or suffering from an acute salt deficiency.
So
what was nicked? It was
neck liquor.
Neck liquor.
Daniel and I both have a very good friend who played soccer for Montesano with Adam Big Hill.
Yes, that's true.
And from him, I learned that Premier League soccer is not the same as American soccer, and it is also not the same as British soccer. It is the softest kind of soccer.
Yeah, and Southern American soccer, I feel like, is pretty physical too.
Fair.
Yeah, I feel like South American and Central American soccer is also very physical. Premier League is like, oh, he hit me. He breathed on me. Yeah.
So that said, we were definitely making fun of Premier League soccer. I'm very willing to believe that there's no nicking in North American soccer or less of it.
That makes me feel like I could probably play and not have to worry about my neck being licked.
Yeah, which is icky.
Except I wouldn't play because of all the running.
You'd break your ankle.
Yeah.
Nobody
that
likes
wouldn't
that.
end well.
Yeah. Anyway, back to where you were going.
So into the Montesano game, and I don't think we need to dwell on it forever. I mean, this was...
I'm not that interested.
Montesano is the 4th ranked team in the state.
I got to say, in church today, 2 separate speakers took shots at Montesano. It was kind of funny.
Well, they're Aberdeen people.
One of them called them the Bullcats because half their players come from Central Park.
Was that Kai?
No, that was Joe Fagerstead.
That's completely inappropriate. I think Joe.
Kind of accurate.
I think Joe Fagerstead should be canceled for saying that.
Well, I'm sure he's already
From the pulpit, no less.
next to it.
Next to it. Yeah, he was next to the pulpit.
Sacrilege. I'm gonna have a chat with Joe later.
I'm pretty sure he's already been canceled in Monty.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, actually, he's not allowed. Yeah, we don't allow Joe. Well, I was gonna say we don't allow Fagersteads, but then I remembered his wife is the music teacher at our schools. Bad job by us.
It's just Joe.
We can't filter out all the Fagersteads. Put it on the poll. Can we filter out all the Fagersteads?
And why would we want to?
So in the Montesano game, they come in as the 4th ranked team in the state. Hoquiam, Daniel,
Rob says Joe's right.
You've really hammered on this the last couple weeks. Hoquiam's mantra is compete.
Yes.
They kind of have an understanding of where they are rebuilding as an organization. And they're going out there, and no matter what happens on any given week, if they compete for the win, or if they're getting punched in the mouth, they're going to compete.
Yep.
So it wasn't like we went into this game the way we have several times over the last decade, like this is going to be the game that decides the league.
Yeah.
It's not that. But it's a huge rivalry game for our local kids. It's a huge rivalry game for fans. And I think it was, if you go into it more with the idea of like, what are we going to see out of Hoquiam? How are they going to look compared to last year? Because last year was real bad.
Yep.
Last year, there wasn't a lot of compete. I hate to start this segment by like praising Hoquiam, but I've watched a lot of blowout wins in high school football.
Yeah.
Over the last, 2 decades or however long we've been covering this sport. We're old as crap.
It's crazy.
And there are some, like when Montesano played Columbia White Salmon earlier this year, where the line of scrimmage is dominated. The other team has no good game plan. There's no competition. This was not that. So the score ends up being a mercy rule win, but it's not like Hoquiam's offense could never get a first down. They moved the ball little bits. They just couldn't sustain drives. The one thing they couldn't do was ever stop Montesano's offense, really. I think if the mantra of Hoquiam's team is compete, they succeeded. Because I came away from it going, not only did the kids on the field really play their hearts out, but also they came in with a game plan that I know would have caught people off guard watching it. Mm-hmm. What is Hoquiam known for offensively? Creativity,
yep.
Trick plays, spreading out, doing funky stuff to catch you off guard. They attacked what I think in a 3-3 stack, you've only got so many guys in the box, and I think they probably watched Montesano's game against Eatonville last week and realized, hey, these guys might be slightly susceptible to quick runs up the middle. They went to something that I didn't see coming at all, which was a 3 yards and a cloud of dust offense in the first half. Like, they packed it in tight. They ran quarterback draws. They ran quick handoffs up the middle in these formations that just had everybody inside. And it was really crazy to the point where I was like, okay, well, they're doing this and it seems weird and I didn't see it coming, but it's kind of working. It never worked all the way to a touchdown.
Yeah.
but it worked to a couple of first downs and getting the ball to the other side of the field. But the problem is when you play that kind of offense, like any 1 or 2 bad plays derails an entire drive.
Yep.
So I came away from it, I think, especially in the beginning, because Montesano took so long to score their touchdowns. They're only up 7-0 after the first quarter. So I think I came away from it thinking, all right, this game is a lot more competitive than I thought it was going to be.
But that was, I mean, you chuckle, Andrew, but that wasn't the expectation.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, by
I
comparison,
was chuckling at Justin's tone. That's all.
So
it's true.
And with context, you have to understand, like, sometimes you go into these games where you're expected to trounce teams, and it's 3 minutes in and you're up 21-0.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it was a bitter chuckle. Don't get me wrong.
To have the first quarter end and it's only 7-0, I was like, okay, like, are we gonna have a problem here?
Yeah.
So I would commend Hoquiam. You know, Xander Jump, I think probably not a natural quarterback, but performed admirably, did whatever he was asked to do, threw a really nice pass, a 35-yard touchdown to Owen McNeil, which, probably traveled 40-plus yards in the air. And McNeil made a fantastic play to go get it, but Jump had to put it in a place where he could go make the play.
Yeah.
And he did that. Jake Templer, Anthony Burtonshaw, those guys run hard.
Yep.
I didn't have individual rushing stats for either of them, but I came away from that impressed with how hard they ran the ball.
Yeah.
Their offensive line also not a pushover.
No.
Defensive line was another story, but their offensive line, they were firing hard off the ball. They were bursting. I think you have to be optimistic. If you're a Hoquiam fan watching the program, you watched last year, thought, holy crap, how are we ever going to beat anybody? Mm-hmm. You have to feel good about where your team is right now.
Yep.
And the seniors, especially on this Hoquiam team, but the whole team together, should be really proud of what they've done. I came away really impressed.
Absolutely.
With that being said.
Well, I was going to say something real quick.
Yeah.
Last week, when I was talking about the big guys in the trenches who should be commended for their defense, I was speaking towards the people who I didn't really bring up in the broadcast.
Okay.
But somebody was like, how did you not bring up Jalen Hobucket?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
When you're talking about the success. I was trying to focus on people I didn't bring up in the broadcast. I brought up Jalen a ton in the broadcast, but he should be noted here as well.
Super athlete.
Jalen Hobucket.
Yeah.
I can see how that works in your brain, though.
Yeah.
Like, I've talked about this guy a bunch.
Exactly.
Talking about the other people.
He plays his heart out, and he is a big reason why they have any success. He is a big kid, and he plays very well for the Grizzlies, whether it's fullback, running back, middle linebacker, on the D-line, whatever it is he's doing. He is a big part for them.
For sure. So with all that positive stuff I said about Hoquiam, which will never happen again. Ever.
It's okay. It's recorded.
Yep.
Offensively, Montesano rushed whenever they wanted to, for however far they wanted to. Gabe Bodwell.
Wait, that's not true, because I'm sure they wanted to score a touchdown every time they rushed it.
They did not. They purposely didn't
want to score? Okay. Yeah, you can get out, sir.
It was to a point where I was like, why would you ever...
That's why they only scored one touchdown in the first
honestly
quarter.
And without bias.
Yeah.
Why would you ever pass the ball sometimes?
I've got a polar bear sniffing my stomach right now.
It's just Pax. He's the best.
He is the best.
He's the best one here.
You've been petting him like half the show.
I know.
But now he's like, I want somebody else to pet me.
He's pretty cool. He's a real polar bear. In case anyone's only listening and you don't know. So Gabe Bodwell.
Yeah.
Who is about
holy crap,
6'3", 6'4".
Where did he come as a rusher though this year?
So here, dude, I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. Gabe Bodwell, who I coached in grade school.
Yeah.
Gabe has always been incredibly physically talented. He did not have an aggressiveness switch when he was little.
Oh.
Something has flipped in Gabe's head where he has suddenly become insanely physical, insanely aggressive. He is seeking out contact. So I'm so happy and impressed to see that Gabe is reaching his full potential. He rushed for 165 yards on only 12 carries, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that I don't think Hoquiam had a player who could tackle him.
Then why did he ever get tackled?
Because he got tackled by multiple people.
Oh, okay.
There were many times.
They had several players that together could tackle him.
Yes. So Gabe is a beast. He was an absolute beast in the game. Athlete of the Week nominee, multiple nominations. And on the defensive side of the ball.
That's a whole conversation we're going to have.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, I would be remiss if I did not mention Mateo Sanchez. I've been taking pictures.
He's so good. And I feel like he's underrated because he isn't the stats touchdown guy.
I feel like
But he's so good on defense.
I feel like not only is he underrated, but I have personally failed Mateo, and I'm going to explain why.
You're a terrible person.
But
that's probably not why.
I hope Mateo has occasionally listened to the show, because since last year, we've been saying Mateo is a defensive MVP of the league level player.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I know Mateo is amazing. Mateo plays center and middle linebacker. I go and photograph these games. I can't get pictures of Mateo because he's in the middle of everything with players all around him.
Exactly.
It's rude.
You need to take a picture from like the end zone before the play starts.
Mateo.
Be like, this is Mateo's butt.
I got a really good picture. Player. Mateo burst through the banner. I got a really good picture of Mateo bursting through the banner.
Perfect.
Good.
Mateo had 14 tackles.
That's a lot.
A sack, an interception, and a fumble recovery. When the game was over and the kids broke and they were all talking to their parents, Mateo came up to me and he was like, "Did you get it?" And I was like, "Get what?" And he was like, "Any of it." And I was like,
and you were like, "No, I'm sorry."
I was like, "Well, Mateo, I got a really good picture of you bursting through the banner."
Oh.
And then he was like, "Oh, okay," that because he's a nice kid. So he's like, "Oh, okay, that's great." And then I was like, "You know what, Mateo? If you're gonna get an interception next time, will you do it on the field that I'm on, the side of the field that I'm on? Like if you're gonna make a play, don't do it on the opposite sideline. Do it on the sideline I'm on, so I can get a really cool picture of it."
And did he say, "Yeah, I'll try to do that"?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're a horrible person.
Mateo,
he's a nice kid.
Mateo, if you're listening, please understand. I feel like I have personally failed you, and I will try to be better as a photographer. But Mateo, also an Athlete of the Week nominee. In fact, of all the players that were nominated, Mateo got like 4 times as many nominations as any other player did.
Is that counting multiple nominations from the same people?
No, it's not.
Okay.
In
I
fact,
thought maybe
Mateo was nominated by...
I thought maybe your son had nominated him many times.
No, Peyton wanted Gabe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's you saying that is gonna cause some strife in the locker room.
They're offensive line buddies, man.
Dang.
Mateo's the center, Peyton's the right tackle. No, Mateo had, I think, 6 nominations from teammates.
Wow, that's awesome.
And his mom. So
that still counts.
Still counts.
I don't think we need to talk forever about the Montesano game, but I will mention that next week, Tenino coming to Montesano. Tenino lost to Eatonville. Montesano beat Eatonville. If Monty can beat Tenino, all they have left is Elma, and Elma can't catch them. So if Montesano wins tonight.
At Oly Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Oly Pen, it's personal.
The Scrimmage is brought to you by Oly Pen Real Estate and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. We are
What's
winding.
the A stand for?
No relation. I did that backwards. We are winding down in our show. The only thing we have left is Athlete of the Week. I do feel a little bad because I think I went into that Hoquiam Montesano conversation and talked a whole crap load about the team that lost by 41 points.
It's understandable. Hoquiam sounded like they're really impressed.
Sort of barely talked about the team that actually won.
Nobody really cares
about If you're
about
a Bulldog
Montesano.
and you're offended, who cares? I don't care what anyone thinks. But
he's going to be apologizing to Bulldogs literally all week.
They shouldn't be offended. Like,
I don't apologize.
Come on. Oh, if you're offended that we don't talk about Monty enough, then you need to have your head checked.
Hey, you know what? I said on last week's show that I was embarrassed by our fans, and nobody mentioned anything to me.
So nobody listens. Okay, good to know.
No, I think it's just that everyone respects my opinion so much that they were super introspective.
They were just trying to be better.
They were introspective, and they were like, you know what? We need to be better. That's what happened. So anyway, we have the task of naming our Oly Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
This is toughy.
And so I'm going to go through the nominations. The ones that we actually received. I mentioned already we had the most nominations. At the time I typed this in, I put 6, but I got another one for Mateo Sanchez, so he's at 7.
Okay.
We had multiple nominations for Gabe Bodwell. We had multiple nominations for Aiden Watkins of Aberdeen football.
Yep.
We had a nomination for Addie Winter for Montesano volleyball, who led the team with 16 kills to a win on Thursday. Really good performance. And I put a category of non-nominations because nobody nominated Miley Seberg, but she scored 6 gosh darn goals on Thursday.
So bad trick. On y'all for
bad
not nominating her.
Elma,
Seriously.
be better.
Come on, Elma. Be better, Elma. Yeah. Hey, no, hold up. Elma. You had a player do the double trick, which I didn't know was a thing. I'm not going to
abbreviate the
but
word.
I'm making that a thing right now. It's the double trick. The drick. Nope.
Andrew already did it. You missed it. Andrew already did it.
It took me a second. And you didn't nominate this girl? Come on.
Miley Seberg, 6 goals.
Yep.
So we have to vote. Here's what we have to do.
I don't like this.
We got to choose. We have an option.
Okay.
Because we don't answer to anybody.
Yeah, we don't. We
can
make
do
our own rules.
Whatever the crap we want.
Yep.
We could each name an athlete of the week if we want to.
Ooh.
But we won't.
My vote would go to and this works because they're on the same team, and one is more offensive and one is more defensive. I also didn't mention Gabe Bodwell had 8 tackles. In addition to his 165 and 3 touchdowns and nobody being able to tackle him.
Yep.
I would go with a combo Mateo Sanchez, Gabe Bodwell from Montesano football. So that would be my vote if we were only picking one. Okay. But like I said, we can kind of do whatever we want.
Well, that would be kind of picking 2.
We can do whatever we want as long as Pax says it's okay. Pax, what do you think?
I cleared it with him already.
Okay.
Pax is good with it.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you have a thought on this situation?
No. I'm sorry.
You do have Aiden Watkins, a Bobcat.
I mean, I'm going to... If there is a tiebreaker vote, I will vote for Aiden. But you guys have been...
Daniel, you were at the game, but also you're the most sympathetic soccerer here.
I am.
And 6 goals!
6 goals. The double trick, which I'm making up that term right now because I don't think it's...
I called it
Rob Burns says that a double trick is not a thing. But okay.
I called it a double hat.
What is it then, Rob?
Yeah, what's 6 goals?
What's
then?
6 goals if it's not a double trick?
Well, 4 goals is a schmat trick. Did we name 5 goals?
No.
We've
I don't
skipped
think
5.
anyone's ever got 5.
Is it the hat trick squared? No, wait.
No, that would be 12
that's
goals.
That's 9.
9 goals.
Wait, 9 goals.
Sorry, I did Monty math there. My bad.
Oh, man.
Daniel, it all comes down to you. Andrew said Aiden. I said Bodwell, Mateo Sanchez combination.
Rob says it's just 6 goals. Okay.
That's super boring, and soccer needs to be better.
Rob's one of those people who didn't like us naming the Montesano Hoquiam rivalry either.
Well, in Rob's defense, we came up with a really lame name.
The Red Rivalry?
Yeah. The acronym bowl is better.
Well, that's the acronym, but they also call it like the Combo Bowl or the Combine Bowl.
Nope.
Acronym Bowl?
Acronym Bowl's better.
What should we have called it? The Grizz Dog?
Grays Harbor Red Rivalry. If you have a better name for the Montesano Hoquiam game.
The Doglies Bowl? What do you
want
want?
The Grays Harbor Maroon rivalry?
Hey, no, Monty's Maroon, Hoquiam's Crimson.
I don't know, though. Did you see? So, those new
Hoquiam
jerseys, by the way, super slick. They look really good.
Yeah. Are they a little maroon?
They're pretty maroony.
Ah, gosh dang it. They've been struggling with their colors for a while now.
My brother is pointing out that we have missed the opportunity to say it was a sextuplet of goals.
Oh, sextuplet.
Sextuplet? Yeah, that's probably.
I don't think I'm allowed to say that word.
I'm going to go with Miley Seberg on this one.
Oh, we have a 3-way tie, which means we have multiple athletes of the week.
Yep.
So for my portion,
Addie Winter gets the honorable mention.
OLI.
3 athletes of the week and an honorable mention.
Actually, technically 4 because
honestly,
mine's
that's
a combo.
awesome.
Yeah, yours a combo. Addie is one of my favorite players in basketball. I've never watched her play volleyball, and it wasn't one of the stars for Monty's basketball team, but dang, she's fun to watch even when she's on the bench. I just love Addie. She's awesome.
Addie.
She's awesome.
Side note, Addie Winter, one of the best people. Okay, so
that doesn't surprise me.
For my portion of Oly Pen Real Estate Athlete of the Week, Gabe Bodwell, Mateo Sanchez, offense, defense, combination. Congratulations for your performance in a win over Hoquiam. You are our Oly Pen Real Estate Athletes of the Week.
And for Andrew's portion, I will read the stats for
Thank you.
Aiden Watkins since I have him here. Aiden had 7 carries for 71 yards, 5 catches for 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What did I say?
7
Tutties.
carries for 71 yards?
Yeah.
They clearly didn't have anyone that could tackle him either.
I mean, I don't know. Gabe averaged like 12 yards a carry, so whatever.
5 catches for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 for 35 yards and a touchdown, and at least one kickoff return for 33 yards. Aiden Watkins is Andrew's Athlete of the Week, and I am going with Miley Seberg for the double trick, which is ridiculous. 6 goals. I don't care who you're playing against. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a crazy performance there.
Agreed.
So
I think we can feel, since we don't answer to anyone, we can do whatever we want. I
Exactly.
think we should feel good about our selection.
I'm just
Absolutely.
saying that I feel like 6 goals is like too much. Like
It's
you should
almost too
probably
much.
not have scored some of those to be nice.
That's kind of a Daniel Hargrove argument.
Daniel
really.
seems like Daniel likes sportsmanship and stuff, but he just picked the runner-upper.
Shut up, Andrew.
That's just your producer really knowing you.
Making me feel bad.
Don't feel bad. It's awesome.
I think we can put a pin in the balloon of this episode.
Absolutely.
So for my co-host, Daniel, his producer really knows him, Hargrove.
Oh, shoot. I accidentally got out of the document. Just a second. Hold up. Wait, I had a good one for
And
this.
for me.
And for Justin, failed Mateo Damashevitz.
And for our trusty producer, Andrew, I live in the woods. Gross.
Even though I typoed that and said I love it in the
I knew what you meant.
That works too. You've been listening to The Scrimmage.